In the deep dark woods, something ancient and scary wakes up. A witch named Baba Yaga stirs trouble in the quiet night. Her story is not just a tale, it is a warning. Listen to the whispers of the trees, for they speak of fear and mystery. Her secrets will chill your bones and leave you wondering what lurks in the dark. Deep in an old forest, there was a small village. The people there spoke of a witch called Baba Yaga. They said she lived in a strange cottage on chicken legs. No one had ever seen her face, but everyone feared her. One cold night, a young boy named Ivan walked near the edge of the forest. Ivan had heard many stories about the witch. He did not believe them, but his heart beat fast as he walked by the dark trees. The wind made the leaves rustle, and Ivan felt a chill run down his spine. Ivan stopped when he saw a faint light between the trees. He wondered if it was the moon or a fire. Curious, he stepped closer. As he neared, he saw a small house standing on two thin, long legs. The house looked old and crooked, and its windows shone with a dim glow. Ivan knew deep inside that he had found Baba Yaga's home. He took a deep breath and slowly walked around the cottage. The trees whispered warnings, but Ivan pressed on. A door creaked open, and an eerie silence filled the air. From behind the door, a shadow moved. Ivan's heart thumped hard, but he could not stop himself. He looked inside. There, in a dark room with dusty corners, he saw a table with strange markings. On the table lay an old book with pages as thin as spider webs. The book told many stories of magic and spells. As Ivan flipped through the pages, he found a story about Baba Yaga. It said that she could make the dead rise and bring storms to the land. Ivan's eyes grew wide with fear. He realized that this was no ordinary tale. Suddenly, a soft voice spoke. It was a whisper, as if coming from the walls. "You should not be here, little one," the voice said. Ivan froze in his place. He looked around, trying to see who was speaking. Then he saw her. Baba Yaga stood in the doorway. Her eyes were deep and dark, and her face was hidden by a shadow. She moved slowly and carefully. Baba Yaga did not speak again for a long moment. Ivan could only stare. Finally, she said, "You have seen what should not be seen. You must leave now." Her voice was not loud, yet it carried a weight that made Ivan tremble. He nodded and backed away. But before he could run, Baba Yaga lifted a hand and the room filled with a strange light. The old book on the table fluttered open by itself. The pages turned rapidly, as if the book wanted to tell its own tale. Baba Yaga stepped forward, and Ivan could see that her eyes held centuries of secrets. "You will remember this night," she said. "The forest has many eyes, and they see all." With those words, she stepped aside. Ivan ran back to the village. His heart pounded, and his thoughts raced. He told the elders about what he had seen. They listened with heavy hearts. The elders had long warned the children not to go near the forest at night. Now, they knew that the stories were true. Baba Yaga was real. The villagers stayed close to their homes and prayed for safety every night. Days turned into weeks, but Ivan could not forget the witch's words. He looked at the forest with new eyes, knowing that it held dark magic and old secrets. His dreams were filled with whispers of the wind and the soft, stern voice of Baba Yaga. The forest was no longer just a place of tall trees and birdsong. It was a realm of ancient power and unseen eyes. The tale of Ivan spread in the village. Parents told their children the story of the boy who saw Baba Yaga. They warned them to stay away from the dark forest and to obey the old rules. Over time, the memory of that eerie night grew into legend. The forest remained a place of mystery, and Baba Yaga became a shadow in every whisper of wind. The witch of the forest continued to live in her strange cottage. She roamed the woods at night, watching the villagers and keeping the secrets of the old magic. Some nights, a light was seen moving among the trees, and the people believed it was Baba Yaga, still guarding her ancient power. And so, the legend of Baba Yaga was passed down from one generation to the next, a tale that warned all who listened. There are mysteries in the forest that should never be disturbed. In a faraway land, a small town lay on the edge of a deep, dark forest. The people of the town often spoke of strange happenings when the clock struck midnight. They believed that Baba Yaga, the ancient witch, came to the town for a secret feast. One night, a curious girl named Mila could not sleep. She sat by her window, staring out into the darkness. The moon shone brightly, and the wind whispered softly. Mila had heard the old stories. She had been told that Baba Yaga would visit the town on nights like this. With a mix of fear and wonder, she decided to see if the stories were true. At midnight, a soft glow appeared near the forest's edge. Mila quietly slipped out of her house and walked toward the light. The town was asleep, and her small footsteps did not disturb the silence. As she reached the edge of the forest, she saw a long table set in a clearing. The table was full of old and mysterious food, laid out under the open sky. The air smelled of herbs and ancient magic. Mila hid behind a large tree. She watched as a hunched figure emerged from the shadows. It was Baba Yaga. She wore a tattered dress and had long, wild hair. Without a word, Baba Yaga took her seat at the table. Soon, other strange creatures appeared. There were dark birds and small animals with bright eyes, all gathered silently around the table, as if waiting for something. Baba Yaga looked at each guest in turn. Her eyes shone with a strange light. She raised a hand, and the feast began. There was no music, only the soft rustle of leaves as the guests ate. Mila listened carefully. The witch spoke in a soft, low voice, telling a story of ancient magic and forgotten dreams. The words were simple, yet they carried a power that made the night feel heavy and full of secrets. Mila felt both scared and amazed. The feast was a gathering of the old world, a place where magic was still alive. As Baba Yaga told her tale, the creatures listened in silence. The witch spoke of a time when magic ruled the land and the forest was full of wonder. She told of the power of nature and the strength of the old ways. Her words were clear and gentle, but there was a sadness in them, like a memory of something lost long ago. After the feast ended, Baba Yaga rose from her chair. She looked directly toward the place where Mila hid. For a moment, the eyes of the ancient witch met those of the curious girl. Mila could not move, and her heart beat fast. Baba Yaga said nothing, but her look told a story of warning. Then she turned and walked back into the darkness, leaving the clearing empty and quiet. Mila ran back to her home, her mind filled with the memory of the feast. The next morning, she told her family what she had seen. The town listened in silence, for the legend of Baba Yaga was well known. They reminded each other that some things are best left unseen. Mila learned that night that curiosity can lead to strange encounters, and that the magic of old is not meant for the faint of heart. The town continued to live in a gentle fear of the dark forest. Every midnight, when the moon was full, some believed they could see a light moving among the trees. They whispered that Baba Yaga was still coming to her midnight feast. And the legend grew, a quiet tale of a witch who remembered the old ways and held the magic of the world in her heart. Far from the busy towns and noisy cities, there was a quiet hamlet. The people there lived simple lives, farming the land and tending to their animals. Yet, deep in the woods near the hamlet, a secret was kept. The secret was the existence of Baba Yaga, the ancient witch, and her strange cottage on chicken legs. In this hamlet, a kind young girl named Lida loved to wander near the forest border. One day, while picking berries, she strayed too far. The woods grew dense and the trees tall. Lida soon found herself in a part of the forest she had never seen. The air was cool and the silence was deep. As Lida walked, she discovered a clearing. In the middle stood a small cottage with walls that looked old and worn. The cottage rested on two long, spindly legs that moved slowly as if alive. Lida felt a mix of wonder and fear. She remembered the stories told by her grandmother about Baba Yaga and her magic. With a trembling hand, she stepped closer. At the door of the cottage, Lida paused. There was no handle, only a small gap. She pushed the door gently, and it opened with a soft creak. Inside, the cottage was dimly lit by a warm glow that came from no visible source. On a wooden table lay a simple meal and an old, dusty book. The book told stories of the forest and of a witch who cared for the ancient magic of the land. Suddenly, a soft laugh filled the air. Lida turned quickly and saw a hunched figure in the corner. Baba Yaga stood there, her eyes calm and deep. She did not seem angry. Instead, her face held a look of ancient wisdom and a hint of sadness. Without a harsh word, Baba Yaga motioned for Lida to sit by the table. Lida sat quietly. Baba Yaga began to speak in a slow, steady voice. She told a tale of long ago when the forest was young. She spoke of a time when the trees talked and the rivers sang. The witch told how she had protected the forest and its magic through many years. Her words were simple and soft, yet they carried a power that made the room feel full of history. As Baba Yaga told her story, Lita listened with wide eyes. The witch explained that the forest was a living memory of the world. Every tree, every stone had a tale of its own. Lita learned that the magic was not to be feared, but to be respected. Baba Yaga's gentle tone showed that she cared for the land deeply, even if her ways were strange to the people. When the tale ended, Baba Yaga looked at Lita with a kind gaze. She said, "You have seen the secret of the forest. Remember this day, and let the magic live in your heart." Lita nodded slowly. The witch's words felt like a promise that the old magic would never fade away. Lita left the cottage and found her way back to the hamlet. The journey seemed shorter, and the forest no longer felt as dark. She carried with her the lesson of respect for nature and the memory of a kind witch who guarded the ancient secrets of the woods. The hamlet kept its quiet life, and the story of Baba Yaga and her secret cottage passed quietly from one person to the next. The forest continued to whisper its old secrets, and those who listened learned that magic was a part of every living thing. The legend of Baba Yaga remained a gentle reminder of the old days when the world was filled with wonder and mystery. The night grows silent as the stories come to an end. The memory of Baba Yaga remains like a shadow that never fades. The forest holds its secrets tight, waiting for the next brave soul to uncover its mysteries.